All right, what's up, guys? We are rolling up to work on the Lexus today. It looks like my mom got a package. We're gonna go ahead and take that inside, and we are going to finish taking off this fuel rail today and see what we can do to get this thing fixed. So hopefully by the end of this episode, we should have this thing converted to run on just a regular like fuel feed line and delete the intricate system of routing for the factory feed line. So anyways, yeah, we're gonna go ahead and get ready, get the tools out, and get to working on this. Okay, so for those of you that aren't familiar with what we're doing here, if you're just now checking into this video, we're removing the factory fuel rail so I can convert this fuel rail to run on a barbed hose fitting, so I can just attach a regular fuel hose to it, because where the stock fuel feed hose connects to this motor is stripped out, and to replace that piece is a lot more expensive than it is to just convert it to a regular hose, which is all the stock line is anyway. It's just a fuel hose. So anyways, yeah, we're going to go ahead and finish taking this stuff off now so we can get to looking at it. So we have the fuel rail unbolted. I really wasn't thinking straight trying to get that intake manifold out of here, because that's going to be a pain in the ass to get out compared to the fuel rail. Sorry, mine went blank. Anyway, so yeah, we got this out. Now what we need to do is take this bolt off, and then the whole rail should just come out, and we will convert it with the new barb fitting that we got. I'll show you that once we get it out. For all reference, you need 10 millimeters to get the plates off of the injectors to be able to even get them out. And then there are two 12 millimeter bolts that hold the rail to the intake manifold, one over here and one down at the end. And then the whole thing should just come out if you have the if you have an aftermarket hose, or if you have the factory rail unbolted. So anyways, we're gonna go ahead and do that now. Got the homie Ryan out here. He's checking the oil in his truck. He just lended some assistance. So anyways, we got the fuel rail off and out of there, and then with it out of the way and all the harness and stuff out the way right there, I was actually able to get to this piece from the side. So this is actually called the fuel rail support. And anyway, this is really all it is. It's just like it bolts into the chassis just like that, and then this feed line goes to the top of the fuel rail, and then this is where the factory fuel feed bolts to, is right down here. Now you can see mine's a little bit fucked up. This one was we sent the bolt home with the impact gun, not realizing that it was stripped like it was. But yeah, this thing's a little messed up. So that is out of there, and we're going to convert the fuel rail just to a regular fuel feed line. This is our fuel rail, and have it out now. I unbolted the line right here, and this is where our piece comes in. So when this thing is put into the car like this bar will be facing down, and we'll just run a hose from the rear up to the rail, and it should work just fine, because that's literally all the factory one is. It's just a pass through to the feed. And yeah, so we'll just be running feed straight from the pump, and it shouldn't much matter, because on the rail we have a fuel pressure regulator anyway to regulate the fuel pressure, so it should be just fine. So now we're going to go ahead and wipe down some stuff, get it cleaned up, and then just put the rail back in the car. All right, so just like that, we have the fuel rail back in, bolted up, and this is our result. Let's see if you can see it. There is that fitting right back there, straight down the way it's angled. So really all you gotta do is just sneak a hose up behind there from the rear and bolt it in. So let's see, it's Thursday. Saturday we're going to get a hose, put it on there, and then once we get the hose on there and clamp down, we can put the intake manifold back on. We're gonna leave it off for now because it gives us more room to work with. And then we're gonna put that back on and should be able to test fire the car, because all we gotta do now is just stick a hose and rebolt the intake manifold on. So that's what we're gonna do Saturday. All right, so we have the intake manifold put back on.
I'm being held hostage.
Yeah, Jonathan's working against his will. I got my fuel pressure regulator installed, and Jonathan is working on the fuel line. So earlier we ran the fuel line to that fitting back there, and have a long snake of hose laying back here. And Jonathan is trying to find a way to connect that one to the factory fuel feed down there that's not fucked up. and he's not having a good time right now. So
something to cut with.
Basically we're going to go ahead and just continue buttoning all of this stuff up so I can get it as close to starting as possible. Jonathan's working on the fuel line while I finish putting everything back together, so hopefully we can get this thing test fired today. So stick around. Okay, so this is from the factory hard line. This is where it bolts to the motor stock, and then this is that size hose. This is the 5/16 hose that we've converted our fuel line to run. This one's slightly bigger. We need a splice kit to connect the two. So we're gonna go to the parts store and see if we can find this, and then we'll have no problem getting our fuel line ran. And then other than that, I've got the intercooler hooked back up. Got to finish putting the mass airflow and the intake on, and then putting in the throttle cable. And then this thing ought to be good to go for a test fire. But we're gonna run to the parts store now and see if we can't find something to splice these. Riley, what did we get? Okay, so
Nothing.
This is our hose. Found these. The factory line is 3/8. Our new one's gonna be 5/16. This will fit fine over the factory line, and then we're just gonna lube this up and jam her in. You know, lick it before you stick it. We have the we've got the line spliced, and I'm gonna hand Jonathan the camera while I go turn the battery on and turn the pump on and see what we're looking like. So Jonathan, you do the honors of holding this. Get over there underneath the car, or not underneath it, just like look at it.
Well, we'll go with the top first and then look at the bottom.
Good?
Yeah, we're at the top. Whoa, got it, got it. Yeah.
Now we're leaking on the fuel return on my fuel pressure regulator, which means that we're pressured up enough past the fuel line, so the fuel feed line anyway. So our rig is working. We just forgot to tighten this up. I asked Jonathan to borrow the wrench earlier to tighten it up. He's like, I'm using it, and then we just forgot. So now we're gonna go ahead and do a test try of the leak. Let her go, Jonathan. Is it on? Hot damn, we're holding fuel. Our fuel leak set, fuel feed line works now. We have our fuel pressure also set, right? And so now we need to tighten up these clamps right here on this intercooler coupler. And then we took the wastegate out. We're going to adjust our boost pressure. We're running a little bit higher spring right now than I want to. Now that I've got this thing, or I'm about to have this thing going again, I'm gonna lower the boost for a little while and just get this thing running reliably on a slightly lower boost setting. Still gonna shoot for like 400 wheel horsepower or so of a setting, but not as fast as it was. We were touching probably near 500, and now we're probably gonna be running a lot lower than that. So anyways, let's go ahead and get this changed. This is a little tech informational for you guys, how to change your wastegate pressure. You take the top hat off, and be careful when you do, because this thing is spring loaded, obviously, with some pressure behind it. And basically your collection of springs inside the wastegate is how much pressure it is. This is an 18 PSI spring, 9 PSI, 6 PSI, 3 PSI, and then there's another one that's like 1.5 PSI. So we're gonna back it down to 9, which means at most I'm only gonna make 9 PSI until I put a boost controller on it. At 9 PSI, the bottom of the gate forces open and all the pressure goes out the screamer pipe. So a recirculated wastegate is when you weld this pipe back into your exhaust and it flows out the back of the car. But we're not about that. We like it loud. So anyways, we're gonna put the 9 PSI spring in it and seal this thing back up and put it back on the car. What are we about to do, Jonathan?
I'm elevating myself.
Okay. Anyway, we are about to test fire this thing. It's got oil, it's got water, fuel is holding pressure. So now we're gonna go ahead and give this thing a crank and see what happens. But I don't know how this is gonna go because the thing hasn't ran in like 6 months. So Jonathan, I'm gonna need you to sit over here and with the camera and make sure that we're not leaking.
I'll sit over there.
So just sit just about right here. Good. of issues. Do another little preliminary check. I think we're all right. Doesn't look like we're leaking anything. That water was already there. That's part gas from the last leak. We're not getting fire. Hang on. The IS300 just doesn't want to crank. Don't really know what it is. It's either not getting fuel or not getting spark. It's not even puttering like at all whenever we try to crank it. So I'm thinking it's just not getting spark, maybe. Can't be fuel because it's getting fuel through the return line. So that means it's getting fuel at the rail because it has to pass through the rail first to get to the return line. So, don't really know what it is. There was oil in the plug valley, though. It's been raining a lot here lately, so it's been really humid here and wet. So that may explain that. And there was fluid on one of the igniting plug thingamajiggies. So, I guess when I have more time, the next thing we're going to try is take out the spark plugs and coil packs, clean them off, put them back in, or get some new ones, one or the other, and see what just happens. So anyways, thanks for watching, guys. Disappointed we didn't get it started, but hey, at least we got the fuel issue fixed. And stick around for the next video. Subscribe to the channel if you're just now checking in. And other than that, guys, have a great day. Peace.